Earlier this year, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, CEO of Blue Origin, were involved in a legal tussle, each of them trying to win the government space travel contract. Due to that, it caused the delay in launching SpaceX's Starship. But the issue was resolved, and now Musk comfortably launched the first orbital flight. So what possibilities are open for the company henceforth, and how will it affect us? Hey, and welcome to another amazing video. SpaceX finally got clearance for orbital flights, and everyone is curious to know when it will send the first civilian passengers to space. Then there is the obvious mind-boggling question, how much will this even cost? Let's find out that and much more in today's video. But first, before we go on with today's video, a sub to the channel would be very appreciated. Comment, share the video, and don't forget to leave a thumbs up for the video. So let's get into it. Elon Musk shared a video showing the preparations that were happening at SpaceX sending their spacecraft to Earth's orbit. Its super heavy rocket, SpaceX's Starship spacecraft and launch vehicle represent an entirely recyclable means of transporting both people and goods to and from the Earth's orbit, the Moon, and other planets. Over 100 metric tons of payload will be carried by Starship, the world's most powerful launch vehicle ever. The video is just one of many that have emerged during the Starship's development. First unveiled under the name BFR in 2017, the Starship is designed to perfectly support 150 people, and it has also considered the use of liquid oxygen and methane as a fuel, which means astronauts can fly to Mars, use the planet's resources to recharge, and then fly back to continue their exploration. This move serves as a stepping stone to establishing a full-size city on the planet by 2050. In short, the Starship could fulfill Musk's ambition to transform humanity into a multi-planetary species. The ship, when paired with its super heavy boosters, will measure around 400 feet. That will stand taller than NASA's Saturn V, which at 363 feet tall currently holds the record as the tallest rocket to ever fly. To add to the growing amount of knowledge on the health and performance of humans in space, Inspiration 4 is employing orbital missions to collect data. Launch costs might be reduced by orders of magnitude thanks to the Starship system, and commercial space travel will never be the same again. As outlined in the 2020 White Pages for NASA's Planetary Science and Astrobiology Decibel Survey, SpaceX's Starship idea will revolutionize how scientists think about space exploration. This is without a doubt. The University of Colorado Boulder's Cooperative Institute for Research in Environmental Sciences, remote sensing activities will be greatly aided by the 2 order of magnitude reduction in the cost of launching a huge telescope into orbit. By renewing and refueling instruments that typically have a 3 to 5 year life cycle, Starship could provide a less expensive way to launch telescopes and satellite payloads into orbit for long-term investigations of our planet. Second, it might open the door to Earth System Explorer's more ambitious scientific missions, which are currently limited by the program's $350 million cost limitation. Abdalati says, if your launch vehicle eats up $60 million of that $350 million or more, already you're down a pretty significant limit of resources for your actual mission. If Starship can lower that launch cost, there's more that can be directed towards the science mission itself. Astronomers have similar expectations. SpaceX has already tested one proposed next-generation NASA telescope for a future flight of the Starship. By returning space debris to Earth, Starship may have a positive impact on suborbital and planetary science in the long run. Launching vehicles and operational orbiters are put at risk by space debris. Abdalati believes it is very crucial to find a way to alleviate air traffic congestion. SpaceX's Starlink constellation is growing, and a cleanup mission could include recovering dead satellites from the constellation as they accumulate. However, critics may object because in this situation, SpaceX will be cleaning up its own orbital messes, and because reducing defunct Starlink satellites does not relieve ground-based astronomers of the problem caused by the mega constellation. The claimed mission of Starship is to transport freight and eventually people to the Moon and Mars, and is enhanced by the ability to deposit and retrieve additional payloads in orbit. Researchers from NASA and SpaceX are listed amongst the authors of a recent white paper that claims that the company is currently planning to launch multiple unmanned Starship quests to Mars every 2 years, each time taking advantage of the planetary alignment that's particularly favourable for the journey. It will be possible to unload merchandise on Mars and bring back samples even if you don't have a crew with you. Similarly, travel to and from the Earth's moon will be possible. Starship's immense size is a benefit, particularly in this sense. A single mission's return sample mass from lunar samples would dwarf the combined total return mass of all lunar samples from all previous sample return missions, because Starship is capable of returning tens of tons of cargo from the lunar surface. Contrary to Walid Abdelati, Elon Musk estimates SpaceX will charge a whopping $2 million for the cost of orbit flights. And while we would think that is expensive, there have been many experts that thought the price was too undervalued. Honestly, you've got to have deep pockets to afford the rear seat in this one. Research developer Pierre Lionnet at the European Space Industry Trade Group, an expert in the field of space economics, says, and while a $2 million launch cost is eye-catching, the figure does not tell the whole story. SpaceX is not a publicly traded company, so it has not disclosed the cost of everything that has gone into the Starship, from building more than a dozen prototypes from scratch to employing an army of designers and engineers. Starship will have to recoup these expenses eventually. Part of its broad range of potential uses could be explained by the fact that SpaceX has marketed its system not only as an interplanetary ferry, but also as a space junk collector and an affordable launcher for satellites. The company has also touted the system as a global transportation service that can send people or cargo to any place on the planet in 1 hour. That is, from California to China within an hour or less. Whoa, that's pretty cool, right? Laurie Garver, the former NASA Deputy Administrator, is more upbeat about Starship's prospects. NASA received cash to pursue relationships with private space companies as part of a 2010 federal budget arrangement facilitated by Garver. Garver believes that while billionaires pose a greater danger than a large aerospace firm, there is little doubt that they will all be involved in the long term. She goes on to say that winning a government contract and using SpaceX's Starship to help with research initiatives is in Musk's best interest to recoup the startup expenses he had incurred. Winning these contracts necessitates providing a service at a lower cost than an organisation like NASA could manage on its own. Therefore, SpaceX's ability to charge a federal client is constrained. At the same time, Garver argues Congress will seek to reallocate funding formerly destined for NASA's launch expenses as the Starship payloads are sent into space more effectively than ever before. A lot hinges on how well the agency does in diversifying the business to include areas of public concern, such as climate change solutions or sending crews to space missions. It wasn't because the US wanted to see what the moon was composed of when they cranked up their efforts during the Apollo program. They weren't there to hang out also. They were there to defeat the Russians. So, what is SpaceX's mission for the time being? According to Laurie Garver, the stated objective of Starship may function as this quest. Aside from zero-gravity music shows, Musk envisions colonising Mars with the help of the platform. You might think that everything that goes into reaching this goal qualifies as a scientific exploit if you agree with the basic premises. It's also not a brand new objective. The goal of the National Space Society, where she worked in the 1980s, was to establish a spacefaring civilization. Although I agree with her that we can't live on this Earth indefinitely, how many people can afford to leave? The first civilian passengers on the lunar Starship voyage in 2023 will include Japanese emperor and business mogul Yusaku Maezawa and the Dear Moon's crew, who will make a fly around the moon during their week-long adventure. This mission will be a significant step towards making space travel more accessible to the general public. But Elon Musk and the SpaceX team are working round the clock to keep the process as quick as possible. Anyway, we wish them all the best. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. What do you think of SpaceX's idea of shipping people all over the world in a space shuttle? And do you think Elon Musk will successfully deliver civilians to space to start a new planet? Comment below, let's engage. Also, if you are interested in more videos, please leave a like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos. Goodbye, see you in the next video.